Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our Japan 2020 live stream. I'm Will Dupree.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Erin Cargile. We are coming at you from Austin, Texas, but broadcasting all over our Nexstar Nation right now. Thanks for waking up. I was going to say waking up early. It's 9 a.m. here. I know it might be a little bit different time where you're at, but we're so glad that you're here. If you joined us last time, our air conditioning is working back in our studio this morning, so we're very happy about that.
We're very thankful for that, for sure. Now, one thing that we got to talk about is that we are now less than 1 year away from the newly rescheduled Tokyo Olympic Games, Erin.
Yeah, I know. I can't even believe that. I'm still living in the past. I still have in my phone calendar where we should be and if the Olympics were happening right this moment. So I just looked it up. I still have the closing ceremony was supposed to take place on August 9th. So we would be right in the smack dab middle of the Summer Olympics right now. And that closing ceremony would be about 5 days away. I wouldn't be sitting here in Austin. I would be in Tokyo with the team, full team of 7 of us covering the Olympic Games for you. And now we're continuing to talk about if they're going to happen less than a year from now. Again, the events are scheduled to take place July 23rd, so 2021, after organizers postponed them because of course, the coronavirus pandemic. And to mark 1 year to go, the International Olympic Committee released some promotional videos highlighting a campaign that it calls Stronger Together. If you haven't seen it, we've got it for you this morning.
Yeah, let's take a look.
We're all different. We look different. We come from different places and live in different ways. But when we all go through the same struggle, when we all contend with the same fear, when we all face the same challenge, it's undeniable how much stronger we can be together. 1 year from now in Tokyo, Japan, propelled by the glow of a singular flame, prepare for the world to unite once more, inspired by an ancient idea that resounds more powerfully than ever. 1 year from now, prepare for that flame to come alive, fueled by their passion, sustained by their greatness. A simple reminder of what we can achieve together. We may not be the same, but 1 year from now, our connection will feel more powerful than ever. After all, it's our differences that give us strength. A strength propelled by hope, unified by dreams, together as one.
It's always nice to see those moments revisited throughout Olympic history, and some of the ones from Rio just 4 years ago are so top of mind that we are missing that at the moment.
I
and
know.
that's the sad thing, is because we all look forward to those, and we'll just have to wait, hopefully, for another year.
I know, and Will, you and I are both gymnasts, and so we grew up watching some of those historical moments, even Mary Lou Retton and Nadia Comaneci. But it is also nice to see a really uplifting and positive commercial, so to speak, in that sense of, will this be a big reunion? You know, a little bit less than a year from now.
For sure.
It's also weird. I don't know if you've noticed this when you're watching anything at home right now, but to see people embrace in hugs.
Oh my
and
gosh, yes. That
you
thought
know,
has come up so many times
yeah,
lately.
a lot of the things that we're watching on TV obviously were taped and filmed before this pandemic hit, no matter what it is. Even if it's just a show on Netflix, to see people embrace and hug, it seems so foreign at this moment right now, but we sure hope that we can get to a place where that is okay again.
Yeah, how quickly things can change too. I mean, literally just a few months ago that would not have seemed unusual, and now it's so strange to see. So again, we want to talk about what's happening in Tokyo, because in Japan they are still preparing for the games as if they're happening, and there are some sites around the city there. So take a look right here. A floating set of Olympic rings is illuminated in the water there just outside the city, and other buildings that will serve as venues next year are also lit up in Olympic colors right now.
Yeah, that city's still having that Olympic spirit. All those venues were ready way ahead of time. I mean, they've been ready for this forever, even lighting that Olympic torch when we thought that these games were still going to happen.
Yeah.
I also find it interesting, some of the information that you've run across over the last few days, Will, when it comes to what do the Japanese think about what should happen even with the Olympics in 2021. It was more questions arise about how the Olympics can happen in the middle of this pandemic, if the novel coronavirus is still going to be, uncontrolled next year, trying to look ahead into that, 8-ball, that magic 8-ball, to see what is life going to be like. This recent news agency, Japanese news agency, Kyodo, found that the Japanese are actually skeptical the games should go ahead and doubtful they will happen, which these numbers here that you see, it's a little surprising because you would think, they would have the most Olympic spirit of all. This is our time to shine
And it's
as
such
a country.
it's such an honor for a country to be picked, and they do all this preparation, obviously, and they expect kind of this economic boom from it. And because of the pandemic, that's really changed how people feel about this.
Yeah, for sure. This poll, as you can see on your screen, shows that only 23% favored holding the Olympics, while 36% said the Olympics should be postponed again, and 33% said it should be canceled. Now, that's interesting because only 23% favored holding it, but then less than half said it should be canceled. So they still have hope that it should happen at some point. But so many questions about one Summer Olympics running into another Summer Olympics, running into the Winter Olympics. I mean, there's so many logistics there. So I don't know. And there's fear. I mean, this country is probably fearful at this time with, not just controlling that virus in their own country, but then so many other people from other countries coming into their country.
Right.
And what are the protocols going to be in place to keep the Japanese safe as people come in?
Yeah, it should be noted as well that organizers and the International Olympic Committee itself have ruled out another postponement. So they are not going to push the games back again if the next action that could come is either to hold it or cancel it altogether. So, I mean, that's the stakes at this point because it's such a monumental thing to push it back just 1 year, given that, as you said, the Winter Olympics are just 6 months after what that event will be next summer. So it's really crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And every single time we come to you each month, we have new comments, new statements, new thoughts from those in charge of this whole shebang. So the president of the organizing committee said in a recent interview that the delayed Tokyo Olympics could not be held next year if conditions remain as they are now. We certainly hope things are going to be different and better in about a year's time. Tokyo 2020 President Yoshiro Mori, however, said he was hopeful the situation would improve and suggested a vaccine was key. I've seen some stories where he says, absolutely not, do not want to hold an Olympics without spectators. So at least the Japanese Tokyo 2020 president is saying we cannot do this thing without fans. We want it to be, as it was intended.
Very much interesting, too. And as we're speaking about the coronavirus impact around the globe, let's take a look at the numbers for worldwide and where coronavirus is affecting. So if you take a look right here, according to the World Health Organization, more than 18 million confirmed cases at this point. This morning I checked as well, and now the death count is at 690,257 people have succumbed to the disease caused by the novel coronavirus. And of course, 216 countries all around the world are affected by this, literally pretty much every place on the planet at this point. So it really has far-reaching consequences.
Yeah.
Here in the U.S., we're seeing it go up as well.
Yeah, for sure. So just boiling it down to the United States right now, over 4.6 million confirmed cases, 47,576 new cases. Here in the U.S. alone, 154 plus total deaths so far, and 469 new deaths. Just a breakdown from here in the United States. And we wanted to boil it down, even more. What would a comparable event to the Olympics look like? Will and I are here in Texas, and so we wanted to look at some of the big events that have had to cancel over the recent months and days, and thought it'd be interesting to talk to them. How did they come to make that big decision?
Yeah.
The Tokyo Olympics, is expected to draw in 10 million visitors when they happen, so postponing them, it carries a big impact economically.
It does, definitely. So here in Texas, the Dallas area is going to miss out on millions of tourists and economic benefit after organizers canceled the State Fair of Texas because of the pandemic. Now, last week I had a chance to talk to a woman named Carissa Condoyanis, and she is the Senior Vice President of Public Affairs for the State Fair. We obviously wanted to talk to her about cancellation of the event and kind of what factored into that. So let's listen to that conversation I had again with Carissa from the State Fair of Texas. I'd first like to start by asking about the cancellation of the State Fair of Texas. So the State Fair is normally held in Dallas, for those who may not know, and you all announced on July 7th that it would not be held for the first time since World War II, which is pretty monumental. What factors ultimately led to the cancellation of the event this year?
Yeah, it was definitely with a heavy heart that we must announce that after extensive consideration of the current landscape related to the COVID-19 pandemic and the health and safety of everyone involved, the State Fair of Texas Board of Directors voted to cancel the 2020 State Fair of Texas. This was an extremely tough decision because a year without the State Fair of Texas impacts so many people. But ultimately, it's the right thing to do.
Give us an understanding about how many visitors would the State Fair normally bring in, as well as the kind of financial boost?
Yeah, the impact of the State Fair's cancellation will be felt far beyond the loss of our annual celebration, which would have been celebrating 134 years this year, and as you mentioned, has been held every year since World War II. We had more than 2.5 million people come to the State Fair of Texas in 24 days last year. So that's a lot of people coming together to celebrate all things Texan. And the fair is estimated to bring more than $400 million in economic impact to the North Texas economy each year. And we realize the significant impact this decision has during this challenging time. But it's the right thing to do for the health and safety of everyone involved and the greater community during this unprecedented time.
Looking at everything where the situation stands at this point, what do you think it's going to take to be able to hold the State Fair of Texas next year just like it normally would?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball.
Right.
So I could see when this is going to be behind us. Our original hope was that maybe we would all get through this before this year's fair. But obviously it doesn't look like that's going to happen. We're all, I know, waiting and watching to see what's going to happen in terms of a vaccine or medicine that can help to, cure this horrible virus. The hope is that we can, if we all can hold on to that, this hope that something will change in the coming months and that maybe we can end 2020 and close this chapter and look to 2021 as a year of growth and excitement, and to start to get back to maybe the life that we had before this pandemic and all be together celebrating again.
All right. Thanks so much, Carissa, for joining us. We really do appreciate you and your perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so strange to not be having the State Fair of Texas. I'm from Texas. I would even, living here in Austin, travel to Dallas, go to the State Fair with my dad, even here at almost 37 years old.
Wow.
I mean, it's something that you come back for every year. And of course, she said they see about 2.5 million people over the course of that State Fair. So
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it's incredible. And you say, oh, the State Fair, that's not that similar as the Olympics, but you see the video of, it's people walking around. They're going up to the the food vendors. They're going into event halls and spaces like someone would go into a stadium and sit in stands to watch a sporting event, and it does draw in people from the state and across the country, and I'm sure even internationally as well. So certainly, and whatever state you're from, you probably likely have a big state fair too that's had to cancel, and so
Right.
it's tough. And we keep going back to this same medical expert, every week to talk about what are your thoughts about holding the Olympics even a year out from now, and so we want to transition into our conversation with him, because as we know, the pulse on this pandemic changes daily, and so when we talk to him every month, things change as far as where we're at with numbers of both people infected and deaths, and then even the progress toward a vaccine and treatment.
Yeah, so Dr. Stephen Thomas is who we're talking about here. We've mentioned him and had conversations with him for months now. He is in upstate New York at a hospital there, and it's very interesting. So Dr. Thomas is an infectious diseases doctor. He is the chief for that division for this particular hospital, and his hospital is joining one of the trials for a COVID-19 vaccine, and that's where our conversation begins today after I talked to him yesterday.
So there are about 160 plus vaccine development efforts that are ongoing globally right now. Just about 40 of the vaccine candidates have entered into human testing, and around 6 of the candidates have entered into the final stage of testing, which is phase 3 testing. In phase 3 testing, or efficacy trials, this is where we determine not only the safety of the vaccine, but also the vaccine does what it's supposed to do, which in this case would be to protect people from COVID. And so in the United States, we have 2 candidates that have entered phase 3. That's the Moderna vaccine, as well as the Pfizer-BioNTech collaboration vaccine.
The hospital where you work is involved in one of these trials. Can you talk about what that involves?
Sure. So we are one of the phase 3 testing sites for the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Globally, they plan to enroll about 30,000 people in this trial across more than 120 sites globally. We are one of the sites in New York. We're up in Syracuse, New York, and so we started last week, and we're enrolling volunteers. And fortunately, the outpouring of support and people interested in volunteering has been great.
Kind of in another topic, we wanted to bring up a comment that Dr. Deborah Birx, who's on the White House Coronavirus Task Force, had said recently. She said that rural areas are experiencing rising case counts because people from those areas are traveling, taking trips, and coming home and spreading the virus. What do you think about that assertion, and how advisable is it to take a trip right now?
Yeah, so in terms of the assertion, I mean, that's how infectious diseases spread, right? And so you have an infected person, and then you have someone who is susceptible to infection, and they come in contact. It's how the virus made it to the United States in the first place, with importation from Asia and from Europe. So it's a common understanding that this is how infectious diseases spread, and especially with a virus like SARS-CoV-2, where up until 8 months ago, this disease did not exist in humans, and so you have an entire planet that is susceptible to infection. And we know that up to 40%, maybe even more, of people who become infected, they either don't have symptoms, or they have such mild symptoms that they don't even think about going to the doctor. And so you have this large group of people who are infected. They don't know they're infected, but they're capable of infecting other people. And so when they travel, they take their luggage and they take their virus, and they go and they visit with people, and they go to restaurants, and they go to parks and these sorts of things. So in terms of the advisability of travel, so there are states, and New York is one of them, that have travel restrictions for many folks coming from other states, and there's a required period of quarantine, or you're going to face a pretty significant fine. From an individual perspective, I think it's important that you understand where you are, how much COVID disease is is in the location that you're currently at, and then what is it like where you plan on going. And if either of those locations are having significant virus transmission at this time, I would really think twice about traveling, either because you could be infected and go someplace and infect other people, or you might go somewhere, get infected yourself, or you may go somewhere and then not be able to come back into your home state without a period of quarantine, and that can be very disruptive. So I really think it's probably not a good idea right now to consider interstate travel.
Think about that last point there. So Dr. Stephen Thomas, who we've interviewed for the last several months, he's saying interstate travel is unadvisable right now.
Yeah, I think, Will, you asked that last question to him knowing that I was on the internet last night looking at flights, should our families spend this last 2 weeks of summer going to see the grandparents up in Minnesota? We haven't traveled anywhere all summer. We've been trying to be really careful, even a road trip, to San Antonio to see family from Austin. And so it's a really hard decision to make. And so that's interesting that he says, make sure you do your research of where you're going to see what the case count is like, what the situation is like in that area. Of course, my mom basically lives in the woods by herself with nobody around her. But you think about, should I do a nonstop flight? Should I wear the full mask and the face shield? You talk to other people who've traveled during this. Do you have to get off a plane and change planes and get on another plane and then traveling with a child, which we would be? It's a tough decision to make. And then here we are in the grand scheme of things a few months from now talking about traveling internationally to the Olympics, and
right.
That's on a whole different level.
It is, for sure. And one other thing I wanted to bring up, so this part didn't make the interview that we aired just a few moments ago, but Dr. Thomas talked about that vaccine trial that his hospital, Upstate University Hospital in Syracuse, is participating in. And he said they put out like an all call for people to join up with the trial and volunteer to be a part of it. And they got more than 700 responses, which is pretty sizable when you think about how many they normally get in some other kind of trial, when he said it would be like 3 or 4.
Wow.
So a lot of people want to be able to help this process speed up and move along quickly to get some sort of viable vaccine. And I hope that they will follow through with it and keep it working.
It's great to hear that people are eager to jump in. I know we've had a similar situation with some of the treatments and vaccines being explored here in Texas. And same thing, they are asking for volunteers. And so, now is your chance to make a difference and maybe changing the tune of this entire pandemic. And I just want to keep saying that, I am thinking about those researchers and people way smarter than me trying to come up with a vaccine and the treatment that can help us all, move forward and get back to some sense of reality and really save lives.
Yeah, and thank goodness they're there doing that, for sure.
Yeah.
Turning the page just a little bit, we're going to be talking about athletes who are still in the midst of training as if the games are still going to happen next year as they are scheduled. So a lot of them are struggling, though, at the moment, both maybe emotionally because of having to put off their training for just a little bit and not being able to compete when they expected, but also that financial hit of it.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about this throughout the different times we've come on each month and brought this Tokyo 2020 show to you. These athletes, many of this, it's their full-time job, and they've put their entire life on hold for the last 4 years. Not just the last 4 years, their entire life has been fully focused on making it to the Olympics. But now, during crunch time in the last few years, many people, quit their jobs or try to get side gigs here and there. And sometimes you may think an Olympic athlete in training or someone who's already gone to the Olympics in the past is rich. And we certainly talk to a lot of athletes and know that is not the case. And right now, just regular folks, Americans, are struggling. And these athletes still want to be able to give everything they can to training as they prepare for now Tokyo in 2021. And so the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee announced the launch of the COVID Athlete Assistance Fund. I'm actually on the Team USA email, so I've been getting updates, about donating to this fund.
Oh, wow.
It's intended to provide a one-time stipend to American athletes who took a financial hit as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic and the postponement of the Olympic and Paralympic Games of Tokyo 2020.
Yeah, the United States Olympic and Paralympic Foundation is actually working with its network of donors, as Aaron just mentioned, to raise the money. So 100% of that raised will go directly to eligible athletes who are currently training and in contention to represent the U.S. at the Tokyo 2020 and Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games.
Yeah, an anonymous, a longtime supporter, even made an initial contribution of $500,000 to help launch the fund. While designer Ralph Lauren, we've heard of him, or Lauren, as some people say, will contribute a portion of sales to it as well. And so one of my teammates, one of the 7 of us who plan to go to Tokyo in 2021 to cover the games, talked to an athlete about how the money like this can help them during this tough time. So my Olympic teammate Jack Doles has a story of a real bump in the road, what a real bump can look like in the journey to Tokyo.
Ask any Olympic athlete, and they'll tell you they dream of winning Olympic gold. But the pot of gold that comes with it, that doesn't come until that medal is draped around their neck. So the postponement of the Tokyo Games is putting a real strain on Olympic hopefuls like Joe Hicks.
So they still have us going to camps and things like that, so it's kind of hard for any of us to work.
When he's not training, Hicks makes a modest living working at a call center. He was planning on turning pro after the Olympics. So when the USOPC announced its COVID Athlete Assistance Fund to help Olympic athletes, he was all for it.
I'm sure a lot of us would have been pro after the Olympics, so we would have been making good money. And as of now, we just we need those funds because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard on the athletes.
Even before the pandemic hit, Hicks needed help. He raised nearly $3,000 on a GoFundMe before the Olympic trials.
It was successful. It got me to the trials, and I'm where I'm at today.
He plans on starting another GoFundMe in the near future. In the meantime, he'll continue to train. He secured a spot on Team USA, but still has to qualify for the Tokyo Games.
You know, you could have just turned pro. Why continue to pursue this dream? What is it about the Olympic rings that drives you to fight, in essence, for free?
One of the biggest, the major keys is my daughter, the promise I made to my daughter about going to Tokyo. The Olympics been my dream. It was always my dream. It was something I wanted to do. Why go pro and say I wish I could have done this?
On the journey to Tokyo, I'm Jack Doles.
And the Jack Doles joins us from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Good morning to you, Jack.
Morning, Aaron. Will, how you guys doing?
We are doing good. I think one of the last few frames of video we saw really puts it in perspective when you see Joe there with his daughter, and how important this is for him and what it means.
Yeah, it's very personal for him, and we've been following his journey along the way. And it's interesting. One of the stories we did before this with Joe was he moved into his mother's home for a little while because she had a basement where he could train. When the gyms were all closed, and they still are in Michigan, he had to find a place to train, and she had a basement that had a machine down there that he could work on. So you got to do what you've got to do to stay in shape and to pursue this dream. And this dream burns brightly and deep for him because of a promise he made to his daughter.
Yeah. And Jack, you have been meeting and interviewing Olympic athletes for years and years and years. And I've only been doing it for, the last 2 to 3 as I went to the Winter Olympics in South Korea with you and now preparing for the Summer Olympics in Tokyo. But I think even me, prior to meeting many of these Olympic athletes, you have this, you put them on this pedestal. And so you show up to interview them, and then you quickly realize they are just real people, and they don't have all this cash flow coming in just because they're either have been to the Olympics before or are in training for the Olympics. They are trying to survive just like anybody else would be. I remember interviewing an ice skater, a figure skater, and when I went to the rink to talk to her in the Dallas area, she was actually coaching prior to her practice starting because she was getting paid to coach to pay for her training for the Olympics. And I was like, wow. I thought you think people have all these sponsors and they have all the, again, money coming in. It's certainly not like that.
No, there are very few Olympic athletes like a Michael Phelps who have tons of endorsements and have no financial worries. That is the minority when it comes to Olympians. Most of them, the skaters, they've got to pay for that ice time. The rinks don't just give it away. They've got to pay for their coaches. They'll get a certain stipend from their organizing committee once they reach a certain level. But to get to that level, that's all out of your pocket. So they've got to find ways to come up with those funds, and it could be giving lessons, it could be cleaning locker rooms. They've got to work for it, just like everybody else. And the level they have to work for it is so much greater than anything most of us can imagine.
Yeah, and I would imagine too, whenever the Olympics was postponed, they not only had to think, can my body go through this for another year? Can I stay at this level of training? But also financially, can I make this happen? There's a student here at UT, just finished up. She graduated, but she's a diver, and so she was ready to go into the real world and get a real job after the Olympics. And now, what is the next year of her life going to look like? Even many of you probably watching know Kat Osterman, Olympic softball gold medalist. She was coaching softball at Texas State University here in the Austin area, and then decided to step down in that role because there's so many just changes happening. She's got to devote the next year of her life now to the Olympics, and she knows that she probably can't devote all of her time to coaching because now the whole timeline is messed up.
Right. So we've got a track and field athlete here in Grand Rapids who will be competing for Samoa. His name's Alex Rose. And he had taken a sabbatical from his job about 3 months before the pandemic hit. And the idea was work was going to let him stay away. He could train full time. He'd be in the best shape of his life with an opportunity to win a medal at these Olympics for Samoa. But that pandemic hit, and then he had a decision to make. Do I continue to pursue this dream? Do I stay on sabbatical, or do I go back to work, lunch break, find a field to throw the discus, and then go back to work? So he chose to take this whole year off now, at no small expense to his family. His wife works, but now he's not. So they had to make some big sacrifices for him to pursue this Olympic dream. I asked him why he wanted to do that, and he said, he was in Rio and didn't make the finals. He had an injury, and that prohibited him from being at his best that day. And he said, when you sit there in the stands and you're watching the finals and you think you should be there, that's a motivating factor. And so that has burned so deeply inside him that he is now putting the rest of his life on hold until these Olympic Games come. So if there's another delay or if they get canceled, that'll be absolutely devastating to Alex and to all these athletes who've done so much to pursue this dream. It's so difficult to time it just right so that you're peaking at this time. And then all of a sudden, it's taken away from you. They just pulled the carpet out from under you. Now you got to build your body back up mentally, physically, and be ready at just the right time.
Yeah.
And the whole time they're doing this, they're not sure if that time will happen because this pandemic, the way it's going, is just making it very difficult in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, that is the perfect transition, Jack, into the next conversation that I want to have with you. I don't know, have you seen the documentary The Weight of Gold yet on HBO?
I've seen excerpts of it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it is for sure. And I mean, you're aware of the issues, whether you've seen the documentary or not, just with all the amazing knowledge you have and all the athletes that you've talked to. But just for those watching across the country right now, so The Weight of Gold, it's a sports HBO documentary that just came out. I believe it was toward the end of last week. All the days are running together. I watched it either Wednesday or Thursday night as soon as it came out. It's you mentioned Michael Phelps earlier, Jack. So it's narrated by Michael Phelps. He was also one of the producers on the project, but it looks at the mental health challenges of Olympic athletes, both during their training, which can obviously start as a young child all the way up to that Olympic moment or multiple Olympic moments, and then also that drop off, that disappointment, empty feeling that they may feel, even if they won gold or won a medal. They go home and they look around and say, who am I? I've devoted my entire life to training for this one moment, and now I'm lost, and there's this drop off. Or if they go to the Olympics and they don't medal and there's all of this pressure on them to perform and then they don't, they come home and they're feeling this horrible guilt. And so it really takes us through the journey of what it's like either being a successful Olympic athlete or one who may not do as well as others had hoped, and the weight that is, on their shoulders and the weight of gold. Does anything come to mind when I mention that and talk about that as you've interviewed and talked to and gotten to know athletes over the years?
Yeah, so before the Rio Games, Aaron, we did a story with Allison Schmidt, and she trains with Michael Phelps, one of his best friends. And she's one of the most decorated women swimmers the U.S. has ever had. And, so she's been on that podium for gold, silver, bronze. She's won everything. And she's also one that spoke very candidly about suicidal thoughts that she had and what kind of pushed her out of that mindset, because she was headed in that direction, was she had a cousin that did commit suicide who seemed to be the happiest person in the room. So she took a really good look and got some help. But she talked about, when you're in the Olympics and you're in that Olympic cycle, you're just inside of a bubble where everybody, your schedules are made up. You know when you have to wake up. You know when you have to train. You know when you have to eat, what you're going to eat. It's all provided. The only decision you make is, do I get up and train today? How hard do I train? And you're motivated because you're next to Michael Phelps and all the greatest swimmers in the world. So she said, when you're in that Olympic cycle, it's great. You get to the Olympics, people are patting you on the back. There's all this elation. People want to talk to you. They want to hear your story. And then all of a sudden, closing ceremonies hit, you go home and boom, it's like you're in solitary confinement. Nobody's around. You had all this support system. It's all gone. Everybody's gone their different ways. You don't have somebody telling you when to wake up. You don't have somebody telling you to train. So she said that there is a letdown that mentally is very, very difficult for a lot of athletes. And it was so difficult for her, she got to that point where she had suicidal thoughts. Now she travels the country and talks about mental health. She's just a great advocate. But she's also, when I saw what Michael Phelps was putting together there, totally understood it. And I wish this could have been put together 8 years ago, because it's not a new problem, Aaron. This has been around for a while. And these athletes, their identity is completely put into what they're training for. And when that's gone, even, just might be for a couple of years before they ramp up for the next Olympics. But when it goes away, you start to question, who am I? What am I doing here? What's my purpose? And so even for a Michael Phelps, who definitely talked to, if you watch that documentary, it's very powerful what he says, because he's gone through some stuff. And, we're happy he's still with us and is still alive. And that's the most decorated swimmer in the history, most decorated Olympian in the history of the games. And even he wondered about his identity, who he was, what was his purpose. And if you notice the trouble that he would get into, there were a couple of drunk driving arrests. Those all came shortly after Olympic Games ended, because he was off on an island, without all that support system that he had around him.
Yeah, for sure. I know in the documentary, grab the tissues at certain points, because when they showed Michael Phelps with his family and his 2 young children, that's when it really got me, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We have families, and we want and deserve to live these mentally healthy lives. And to wrap up this conversation, the call to action really is obviously to bringing to light that mental health is so important for these Olympians during training, not just all of these trainers at your disposal to help you with the physical part of it, but also you need people there in your corner who you can be honest with and who can get you help if you're going through some tough times mentally. And then having someone there as this safety net and support at the end, when all the ceremonies and the gold and the podium is over, and so and hopefully something does come out out of this. And you're right, it's an issue that's been happening for a long time, but certainly good that it's being talked about now, which just in general, mental health, has always been not talked about like it should be. And so hopefully we will see some changes, in that realm moving forward. So I appreciate you sharing stories about the athletes that you've talked to who've been going through this. You've got a lot of experience in this area, and so we appreciate your time too this morning, Jack. We'll let you get back to. No one else at home knows this, but you were baking some cookies before we interrupted you.
I know.
We can smell them.
Yeah,
I wish we
would
could
you like
smell
to
them
see
here in
them?
Austin.
I'm getting mocked here in my own home. That's
Yeah.
the beauty
Well,
of working from home, right?
Final question is just what kind of cookies were you making?
Exactly.
They were chocolate chip, and half the batch had M&Ms in them. So, yeah, can you grab me one of those cookies? Sure.
Well, what we're wondering is if
secret.
you're going to be able to send those to us as well.
Yeah.
We might be, I could be convinced, but
Okay,
the secret
okay.
is a little more vanilla than the recipe calls.
Oh
There you
man,
go.
I was very impressed that they look beautiful.
We'll take that full screen so you
we,
can see.
We
Yeah.
give you gold. You get a gold medal for those. You also were cleaning the pan yourself in between batches that you were putting in the oven. That is very impressive and the sign of a good man right there.
For sure.
Yeah, my wife's not a big fan of my dishes, so you just got to clean up after yourself.
Awesome. Well, Jack Doles, thank you so much for your time and your insight. We appreciate all that you do.
Great to be with you guys. Thanks.
Always so good to have Jack with us too.
I'm going to have to go get some cookies
I
at
know.
some point
I'm hungry
today.
now. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, we want to say thank you so much. This concludes our Japan 2020 live stream here. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate that. I'm Will Dupree.
Yeah, I'm Erin Cargile, and we will be back first Tuesday of the month in September. Can you believe it's already going to be September?
I know I have to keep reminding myself it's actually August right now. Yeah.
Time is flying in some sense, but then not flying either.
It is such a weird time, for sure.
Oh man, well we'll be updating you on all things Olympics when we see you at the beginning of September. You guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. Thanks again for joining us.